You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back with another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Whew. We're in the middle of September, which is crazy because it's less than a month before my 32nd birthday, which is getting me, excited. I'm in that zone now. Like, I'm going to be 32 on October 12th, and I'm looking forward to it. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like, I'm getting older. Ooh. I actually am like, hell yeah. Like, it's about damn time. Like, I love it. I love it. I feel just a sense of confidence and what is it? What's that word? Assertiveness and assurance and awareness. And yeah, like I feel competent. That's the word, competent. Confidence and competent is the CNC is how I would describe it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's been a very busy kickoff to fall. Like fall is here. And if it's not here yet, it definitely feels like it. But fall season is in. As you all know, my favorite season is actually fall. Like I love fall. One, because it's not too cold, but it's not too hot. I can start pulling out the cardigans again, the blazers again, thick blazers with the nice colors. I'm looking forward to that. I love a blazer regardless, but just to be able to, you know, wear one and not look like I'm the only person in the room to have some sense. So I love fall for all of the reasons. I'm not a pumpkin spice latte person. I'm not really a coffee person. Y'all know that. But I like the smell of it. I like a scented pumpkin spice latte candle that's scented. Um, but I'm not all into the pumpkin spice latte stuff overall. What else? I mean, pumpkins are okay. Like I'm a sweet potato pie person, but I like that feel, the smell, the color of it all. I guess maybe that's the best way to describe it. Like I like the smell. Like is there something like a term for like we like the smell of something about the taste? No pun intended. Um, sometimes you got the opposite reaction where you like the thing, but you like the smell of it, but you like the taste of it. Okay, this is going into a different direction. Anyway, yeah, I love pumpkin spice latte scent. I love coffee scented things, even though I don't like the taste of those things. But fall is, I guess, officially here. And the good news is that the new vaccine booster shot for COVID is finally coming as well. As I told you all last week, I'm personally not getting it until later in October. I feel like I can keep myself, guarded until October so it can, go alongside with the flu shot so I could be able to have, that flu season protection. But I don't want to do too early. In the past, I used to get the flu shot like at the end of August. I used to get everything like really early, like around, school time, whatever. But what I've been hearing is that it's better for some folks, depending on your immune system. So, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving certified health information. But, I heard for people who are fairly, well, um, you know, preferably try to go, towards mid-October, late October, so that, the vaccine or whatnot can spread further throughout the entire flu season. If you take a little too early, you're not, yeah, you're protected, but the flu season effects don't really kick in until a little bit towards that time. So you want to get closer to flu season to make sure that the vaccine protects you throughout the entire flu season, not those latter ends. So that's why I'm doing it personally. But for everyone, each their own. Go to a doctor and talk to a physician about that. You don't want to, you know, do something different. Different strokes for different folks. I'm just telling you what I'm personally doing based on my system. So I just want to put that disclaimer there. Because a lot of people out here doing podcasts, recommending things to people, and then stuff be happening in liability. But I'm just telling you what my experience is. I encourage you, however, to talk to your doctor and physician about when you should best get the flu shot or the COVID booster for yourself. But for me, this is what I'm doing. So that's what I'll tell you. Mm. So in my sparkling water taste test. I am trying this new one called Juni. It's Juni for a happy mind. It's a sparkling tea actually with adaptogens in it. So it's not like a sparkling water, it's more of a sparkling tea, but it's really good. I'm trying it for the first time. It's USDA certified organic. I'm trying the tropical flavor. It has zero sugar, which is very impressive because it has a really good sweet taste. But it includes 5 blends, like super blends to help, get you boosted. It has the Rashihi mushroom, it's the acerola cherry, green tea, ashwagandha, and the lion's mane. And it's really good. I am enjoying this a lot. So that's what I'm sipping on this episode, sparkling tea. Because the tea on this episode is going to be very sparkling and and hot, not chilled. But this is chilled. But the tea is going to be sparkling and hot, which might be oxymoronic, but you get what I'm saying. Mm. So yes, I'm excited because this week I get to kick off my third and final leg of the Case for Cancel Culture book tour, which is going to be in Chicago this Thursday. Super excited. I'm going to be at the bookseller in conversation with a really great local voice, Micah B, who is incredible. I did an interview with him for my podcast a while back, and we're joining forces again to talk about my book. The bookseller is CELLAR. We're going to be in conversation there. Micah B has a really great podcast called Conversations for the Culture, which is basically a media platform where he talks about conversation about all things culture. I mean, he talks about relationships and sexuality and entertainment and sports and all that good stuff. And he also has a show that he also runs called The Black Gay Agenda and the R&B Rundown. Like, he's all over the place in a great way. So we're going to be in conversation about my book, which he read early this year. And we did an interview on his podcast for the culture about it. And I'm excited. Chicago is my birthplace. That's where I was born. That's where my family originally is from before they moved to Houston, which is where I grew up. And it's going to be fun to go back and see what's going on in Chicago. Like, I already got my list of things. The Bear, was filmed in Chicago for those who watched it. So I'm trying to find all the spots. I got a list of things. I know where to go. So y'all don't need to be DMing me like, did you go here? Did you go? Listen, I got a list. So what I'm doing on my tours, each of the cities I'm going to Detroit the following week. Next week I'll be in Detroit. This week I'm going to be in Chicago. Next week I'll be in Detroit. Then there's the Brooklyn Book Festival. Then there is LA. It's going to be a lot. But the cool thing that I'm doing each of the cities I'm going to is that I am going to do a local hotspot that's like I must go there to get the junk food, the thing, right? So I'm going somewhere to get the deep dish pizza because I have to have that experience. Because Chicago is the king and queen of deep dish pizza, like thebomb.com. So I got to go there to make sure I get the deep dish pizza. And I know a great spot that has it. And then I'm going to go to an upscale restaurant that's one of the top, ones in Chicago. So I have those two on my list right now. I have 2 places I'm going to go. I will reveal it next week episode, and tell you what I thought about it, since I'm going to be traveling out of the city. So I'm looking forward to the Midwest and seeing what's good over there. Should be very fun. But this week, as you all know, is a restaurant week. Restaurant week is happening. We're in the mid of it. I believe this week will be the end in Philly. It's going to end on this upcoming Saturday, September 23rd. But it's been going on since last Sunday, September 10th. So restaurant week has been going on. People have been asking me what my thoughts were, what my top picks were. And so at first I was like, oh, okay, but you all wanted to hear it. Eater Philly is where to go, of course. Y'all know where it's at. I gave people a list of the 15. There's 110 choices. There's 110 restaurants participating in Restaurant Week. And this is their 20th anniversary, by the way. And so, I said, well, where are the places that I'm going to? Or some of the places that I'm going to definitely check out. So I did French Bar, which I loved. Okay, French Bar is at French Arts. Now, for those who know that area, this was the old Le Peg, which I liked Le Peg. It was okay. But French Bar, baby, is way better. Like, it's more, the food is not French. It's very, comfort, new American cuisine. Lots of good things to eat on the menu. I went with my homegirl, Lauren. We hit it. And then we also met up with another good Judy of mine, Jamira, who was also there. I got more to tell about that story in later on this podcast episode, but I'll talk about the food and experience. Very great food. Loved it down. The steak and potatoes is a great signature dish. I had the fried chicken, but I thought the steak and potatoes was much better. They have really great appetizers. The deviled eggs were really good. What else did we get? The crab dip was awesome. Dessert, top tier. It was a good time. This is a very casual spot. It's not an upscale restaurant, but they serve food they really have a really good chef that has a good food program there. But it's a nice night. Like let me put it this way, if you're grown and you want to feel like you're eating really good food, that's like also comfort food, but you know that you can't go to Chili's because you're too grown for Chili's, but you still want something like that, but cooked better with better ingredients and all that. This is the spot for that. Go to Fringe Bar. They also have a great bar. The bar was phenomenal. I also put on a list Dose Italian, which I haven't been to in a while, but it is a great restaurant week spot for those looking for an intimate date. Restaurant Alexander, I'm going back again this week. I'm addicted. Y'all know how I feel about Restaurant Alexander. It never gets old, okay? These guys over there, chefs Montana Houston and Jameer Wimberly Cole, some of my faves. They got two top Black chefs that are there with this incredible menu that's contemporary European, but they also put that soulful flair in it. They have a really great restaurant situation going on right now. Me and my good Judy, Dr. Parks, is planning to go. I look forward to going to Restaurant Alexander for I think the 6th time this year. I went there for brunch. I went there for dinner. I just love it. It's my favorite. It's becoming my favorite spot in Rittenhouse. There's also Giuseppe and Sons, which is really good. Now, let me be clear with y'all. This is Center City Restaurant Week. So before you all are like, what about this and what about that? This is only in the Center City area, Rittenhouse. And these are only restaurants participating in Restaurant Week. So for those who are like, where is A Kitchen? Baby, you know they're not doing Restaurant Week anymore. If you all are looking for Park, it's not here, baby. If you're looking for, I think, what's the other one? Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Girl, it's not here. It's not here. This is... some of these restaurants don't really need a restaurant week, to be honest with you, but some of them are trying to, get new seats and stuff. But some of these restaurants aren't. So the ones I'm reading you, these are the ones participating that I think are the top of the tier. Giuseppe and Sons was the Schulsten Collective restaurant, is doing it. Giuseppe and Sons is a standard. It's a classic. Can't go wrong with that. Panorama is doing it this year. I am surprised. They have a really incredible wine bar, one of the biggest wine selections in the region. They beat the Guinness Book of World Records, apparently. Really dope place to go. Can't go wrong with there. Darling Jack's Tavern is the new spot that just got opened, actually. And this is the people who own Bud and Maryland's and, formerly Lolita's and what else? Little Nona's. This is the family of them. Well, all of those restaurants are participating, but Darling Jack Taverns is new. Great pizza. They also have lunch as well, participating in Restaurant Week. So some people who are like me, who's like, look, I can't do dinner. I got a lot of things going on. Try some of these spots for dinner for much less. There's also 1225 Raw Sushi, which is on 1225 Sansom Street. Sansom Street, for those who love sushi, I thought that was the best out the pair. Pearl and Mary, which is on 13th, right across the street from Elvez. Pearl and Mary is very good. It's in that Midtown Village area right next to Van Leeuwen's Ice Cream, which is right across the street. What's over there too? Sampan. It's on that strip next to Sampan and all that graffiti bar, that area. It's right there on that corner. It replaces that other pasta place that used to be there that was not good, by the way. This is a way better substitute. But this is Pearl and Mary Oyster Bar. Oyster House, I believe, is on Center City Restaurant Week. But this is a list for new restaurants and new spots that you may have not tried yet and you want to get a prefix because, it's hard to roll the dice and go to a brand new restaurant for the first time. Restaurant Week kind of allows you to try new restaurants with a prefix. I have some thoughts about that I'm going to write about later this week. But for now, hot spot. Double Knot is right next to Pearl and Mary, and Double Knot is another good spot to have an Asian infusion experience. There's also Foracia. I'm probably mispronouncing this. It's a French restaurant. You all know it's an old city. It is dope. Can't go wrong with it. It's a wonderful place. It's French cuisine. I'm going to go later this week because I just can't get enough of French. And I love this place a lot. Been there a couple of times. Want to go back again. Some of the best duck in the city. Amada, which is the OG of Restaurant Week, like Jose Garza's don't miss. There's a lot of Jose Garza's restaurants participating, but I just feel like for those who have not had Amada, have not tried it in your life, you can't call yourself a Philadelphia foodie without going to Amada. It's a classic, it's iconic. Old City, baby, stand up. And there's also Pumpkin BYOB. I've gone here a couple times. Mr. Johnson went with a friend earlier this year, told me it was still good. Pumpkin is a very special place. It's a really fun place. If you're doing something that's different but healthy and cool and different, cool place to check out. Rex at the Royal, one of my favorites, is participating in Restaurant Week, which is interesting because it's not like really in the Center City area. It's on South Street. But this year, they stretch it. I guess Center City Restaurant Week has stretched their wings out a little bit. So yeah, Rex at the Royal, can't go wrong there. There's always Cajun food. There's always influences there. Can't go wrong with it. Love it a lot. The Twisted Tail, another great place. Just won at the Philadelphia Cook-Off, the Judge's Choice at Twisted Tail. I'm going to tell a little bit more about that. But the Twisted Tail is another classic that you cannot go wrong with. There's also South that's participating in Restaurant Week. Yo, this is epic. South for a long time was not participating in Restaurant Week. It just never was doing it. But I guess the Biden brothers had a change of heart. Another great spot to check out. And then I also be remiss to say that this week, for only 1 week only, there is also this incredible list that is going to be out. The time you're listening to this podcast, you can check Eater Philly's website. Dine Latino Restaurant Week is happening all across Philadelphia. Latino restaurants from all over. There's about 27 participating restaurants. I decided to do a list for them too because the Latino food scene is oftentimes, I think, underrated. There's some really great Latino food, and I know Amanda's about to get her life. Girl, listen, there's lots of Mexican food out here. We went to Anejo last week after she had completed and had defended her dissertation. She's officially Dr. Parks. I'm so proud of my good friend, my fave. She killed it. I, on Monday morning, got to hear for the first time what her research has been. She's been serving a lengthy PhD sentence, and I didn't think it was ever going to be over, but it did. Her research was, her dissertation was Black Caregiver Perspectives of Treatment Engagement in Integrated Primary Care. It was a qualitative descriptive study. She did it at Virginia Commonwealth University, VCU. And it was an incredible research study that really explored the experiences, especially post racial uprising in 2020, which really inspired her research on this. Dr. Parks really, do a really great job of really talking about how those experiences in trauma shapes the way that caregivers engage their patients in this experience, because we don't consider oftentimes the trauma that Black caregivers are experiencing while treating patients of it. And it's a very a really subversive way of looking at this issue. Something that we often in the journalism world don't explore. We're oftentimes talking about patients. We forget Black caregivers. Definitely gave me some things to think about, and just how I'm writing about these topics. And it was very intriguing and impressive. And clearly, the group that reviewed her definitely thought so too. She is now Dr. Parks. So when you see her out and about, tell her, call her Dr. Parks. So she is, we celebrated in the best fashion of having Mexican food. And so, right now it's Latino Heritage Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, as some people call it. So on Eater Philly this week, you're going to see a lot of, restaurant lists for Mexican restaurants. Latino Dining Week is coming up. So this is the whole celebration. So, get cultured, support locally owned Latino restaurants in the region. I shoot for the most authentic. So, you're not going to see, no shade, but El Vez is not going to be on the list. I'm going for, more community focused, driven food. No shade to Steven Starr, but we're going to go in a different direction here. But shout out to the people who create and produce great food. So, gonna leave that there. What else has been going on outside of Restaurant Week? I went to Philly Mag's Cook Off, of course. Dr. Parks and I went there and just tried the food and judged the food. It was a lot of restaurants. It was quite an experience. Mm. It was a lot of different chefs from around the city that were competing, and basically they were doing different entrees, and whoever won, the viewers choice award, or and then there was all the people's choice award, and then there was the chef's choice. So Twisted Tail won the judge's choice and won the cook off and won some big money based on the judges, which included one of my faves, of course. My fellow lip brother, Josh East Philly, was one of the judges, and Farmer John, Krista, was one of the judges as well. So they were doing their thing, and the people's choice was a Twisted Tail. They had a really great ceviche entree or a tasting that was really good. Look, I was eating my way through, drinking my way through. I had my own, I voted differently. But the people's choice went to Down North Pizza, which Amanda voted for. I didn't vote for them, not because I didn't like them, because I love Down North. Down North is great. I just, I think, I guess people's choice versus taste. I was really taking the taste part seriously. Their pizza was great. I think that pizza it's hard to really do pizza well at a cooking competition because it can get soggy, it can get, a little whatever. And so it wasn't that it was soggy, it just wasn't at its best. And so there were other things that just, caught my eye. However, they won, which was great because they're also a social justice restaurant. They help people who have been previously incarcerated get job opportunities and reentry programs and support for that. And they really have been very socially justice oriented as well. And so it was great that they won. And they were really hyped. And it was very, very North Philly in their acceptance. So it was a great time. So I was happy Down North won. It's Black owned and operated and local, and just a really dope space. Love me some Down North pizza. So it was great to see them win. Who else? What else was some things I did? I did a lot. I go out a lot. Stratus Lounge. I was a part of a party. I was with, 3/4 of the Lit Brothers. Josh was out of town, but George, Jamarcus, and myself, we went out at Stratus and had an end of summer, like outdoor rooftop soiree. It was popping with the drinks and the food. I really like Stratus rooftop. I really do. I've gone for years, but I do like their private parties. They really show up and turn out. It was a really great night. Got to try Jim's West. Okay, so this is the Jim's West that has been in the news, because basically there was a Delco Gyms. The owner of Delco Gyms sold it to a guy named Cortez, who's a black man who now owns Jim's Steaks in West Philly. But he doesn't call it Jim's Steaks in West Philly. He calls it Jim's West. And there's been some controversy for the past couple weeks. They just opened like at the beginning of September, but basically the owner who sold it to him, which is a white Italian guy, sold it to him and basically pulled the emergency injunction, tried to get an emergency injunction by the courts to cease the restaurant for operating under the name Jim's West, trying to act as though there was some issues with, branding and hurting the brand. Well, black man won. Cortez was able to win. The judge dismissed that emergency injunction on the basis that Cortez was able to provide receipts, y'all, that showed that on the deed of the transfer that it said Jim's Steaks. They couldn't say Jim's, it said Jim's Steaks. And so that is a big difference because he's calling it Jim's West, not Jim's Steak. Also, the previous owner who sold over the deed and moved everything, was basically trying to use a contract that was in a previous deal that he had with the previous owners where no variation of Jim's and Steaks could be used. However, Cortez had the receipt that showed that deal and that previous contract did not get into his own contract, that his own contract just said Jim's Steaks. So you played yourself. And so as a result, Jim's West can continue to go on as Jim's West. And I'm just so happy about that because oftentimes you see people use the law as a way to try try to disenfranchise people, especially people of color. And I just personally saw this and I just thought that shit was fucked up. The good thing is that the judge agrees with my stance on it, which was real, was that when you do an emergency injunction in the law, you have to show that whatever this thing is currently impeding upon your business and is suffering severe loss. So, for example, let's say that let's say that Taylor Swift has her movie out called the Taylor Swift movie, right? Let me use a better example that's more current. Oh, okay. Let's say somebody is selling Beyonce Renaissance Tour t-shirts right now as Beyonce is selling Beyonce Renaissance Tour t-shirts. Beyonce could send, because it's her brand, it's her copyright. She could send an emergency injunction to stop that business from selling t-shirts because she can show that right now she's selling similar t-shirts and this person could be confusing people and harming people and confusing consumers based on a product that's off of her likeliness and her name, right? That would be a real fair emergency injunction. In this situation, this Jim Steaks, this guy who owns the one that's currently in Delco, that store is not open yet, and we don't know when it's going to open. This store is fairly new. So how could Cortez, who owns currently Jim's West, cause any harm when the other cheesesteak is, number one, not in Philadelphia County, it's in Delco, Delaware County. It's not currently opened. So what losses or harm are you experiencing? Exactly. The judge saw it that way. Cortez was able to keep on doing what he's doing. So there's been a groundswell of support from various people, elected officials. There was a picture with a lot of elected officials all across, not even just in West Philadelphia, are showing love to Jim's West. This weekend, I was in a long line. I waited and got to taste the cheesesteak for myself. It is the best damn cheesesteak I've had in Philadelphia in years. I have to say. I have to say it's my favorite one I've had in a while. Now, y'all know I'm a D'Alessandro's girl, but I might have to retire the D'Alessandro's jersey and really rep Jim's West. One, because it's black owned. Two, because it's in West Philly. I ain't got to go all the way to Roxborough anymore. But three, is because it's so damn good. And I think we should root for the underdog. So I really do love the Jim's West cheesesteak. I encourage you to try it, but I'm going to tell you right now, you need to make it like you recognize that this is not an in and out. They don't have a phone number where you can call and place the order early. You literally have to go, which was fine. Like I had some time to spare. I went at 3:00. I think my wait was about 45 minutes of an hour. But it's just hype. It's super hype. But they also have late hours. So they stay open to I think some hours till midnight till 3:00. So if you are one of those people that could do a late night situation, you can go out late. An interesting thing about them, which has been causing some buzz in news, they have armed security out there to keep customers safe. Now, that's their take. I was at first a little shocked, but people are I guess it's got people feeling better. It's just there's been a lot of, controversy, but they got security there on site because, they don't know, how, you messing with people from the other side of town, stuff can get wild, but it's been no violence, there's been no complaints, there's been no arrests, there's been no drama. But I think Cortez is trying to take a more proactive step and just make sure the shop stays safe as people do their jobs. They got the original chefs and people in the kitchen that made the cheesesteaks, before it reopened. The original chefs are there cooking it up. They're perfectionists. They don't screw over orders. The cheesesteaks have been consistent, the seasoning, the flavoring. I really, really loved it. I really did. And if I had the patience to go back again, I might, who knows, I might mess around and go back again. And I don't even eat cheesesteaks like that, y'all. Normally I do cheesesteaks I don't know, 2 or 3 times a year, maybe. I don't really do them like that. But that one was really good. I might have to get it again. I might have to circle back and get it again in the next couple of weeks. But it was very good when I tried it. I really did like it. Yeah. So, highly recommend it. I went to Inswell, the new restaurant that's over there on 15th and Spruce Street. Loved it. Very great. Very, very good. Great cocktail menu. They do a bunch of great shareable small plates, but it's really good. The seafood was great. The oysters were incredible. Got this grilled shrimp that's with this really great sauce that was awesome. They're transitioning into fall. They had a great skirt steak. There was also a razor type of fish that they had that was fried. That was really good too. Everything was really good. I really did. These are some really great cocktails. So, in what makes Inswell different, Inswell is called Enswell. What makes this place very different is that it's very locally focused. Every spirit they have at their restaurant is local. So they don't do Hennessy, Kettle One. They don't do the mainstream brands. Everything is local. So it's going to be stateside vodka, Blue Coat Gin, which I love, Kinsey whiskey. They're using local brands for their cocktails and all spirits. So some of that means that they can't use Campari. For example, for their Negroni, they replaced it with a different type of ingredient outside of Campari because that Aperol, there's no local Aperol in the city. So they use only local liquor, but they really make a great remix on certain cocktails. The limonada cocktail they have there, get that immediately. Immediately. I highly recommend it. Their aviation spin cocktail, another great one as well. But what was really impressive, and this is a first for me, because I told you I don't drink coffee. They have an incredible espresso martini and mocha cocktail too. And they use Rival Brothers coffee to make these conceptions, and they are phenomenal. I'm not really a coffee drinker, but that espresso martini, baby, at Inswell, honey, it is doing some things. It is doing some things for me. They have a really great mocha one called the Haymaker that had the whipped cream foam on top with the mocha in it with the Rival Brothers coffee. That was another one that just took the cake. And I'm not a coffee person, but these two coffee-based cocktails did it for me. Highly recommended. They don't do reservations. But their plan is in the next couple of weeks to be open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They're doing cocktails. They're not doing happy hour, but they're open happy hour out. They're open during happy hour hours to transition into dinner. I think everyone should take a stab and try to go. Like, this is a spot that is also a nice spot to just go, show up, roll up, pull up at the bar, get a couple of drinks, a couple of bites. You can do your thing. I really, really liked it. It's a great little date night vibe. Recommended highly. Just putting it out there. But overall, yeah, I'm super excited about everything. This upcoming week, I don't know if you all have been paying attention to my social. Of course, you probably have. But I want to let you all know that I will be participating in this incredible conference that is happening. And the link is in my Instagram bio for those, or in my Twitter bio, link in my Twitter bio as well. But there is an incredible event that I'm participating in to really support food and wellness. And this is one of my favorite things as a food editor is being able to do. So there's the Food and Wellness Equity Collective. They're having a creator summit, which is going to be this Wednesday from 11:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Expo East Philadelphia, which is basically the Pennsylvania Convention Center. And I'm going to be doing a panel there. I believe that admission is free for the general event, but check it out if you can. I'm going to be doing a really great panel there around noon on Wednesday, discussing redefining the narrative, which is a necessary conversation on content creators' role in the industry and industry equity. There's a lot of conversation right now about pay equity around the writer's strike, everything going on there. There's a lot going on. And so I'm super excited to be a part of this important moment. So yeah, that's what I have going on. There's a lot happening, but I'm super excited about that. So let's get into hot topics. This week, I mean, just a lot has been going on, but there's an incredible Black woman who is originally from Philly, Kristen Welker, who is the host of the new host, the first ever Black host, the first ever woman, first ever Black person, journalist, to be the host of Meet the Press. She interviewed Donald Trump this weekend, which was a big hot topic. A lot of people are really digging their feet into this interview that Kristen Welker had. There was a lot of big moments, but for starters, Trump is, this interview with Trump comes at the time where there's a lot going on with Biden. We're going to talk about the Biden family, to be honest, because the Biden family had a tough week this past week. But a little bit about this interview with Trump, which was a big deal. Who would ever thought that Trump would be even still doing interviews? I feel like every time he do interviews, he always got his foot in his mouth. But there was a lot of big things that came out of that interview, and I really watched it intensively because at the end of the day, as much as he's a joke, he is still running for president of the United States. And quite frankly, he is the front runner for the Republican Party. So, honestly speaking, we have to take this seriously. We're not making the same mistakes that was made, 7 years ago when people thought Trump was a laughingstock, and then look what happened. I am going to keep following this man until we get to the very end of him losing, hopefully for a second time. So, big things that came out of this was that Trump is really trying to get his Republican colleagues to drop pushing abortion bans with no exceptions. Like, he is not here for it. He said members of his own party needs to, quote, has been speaking very, quote, very inarticulately about abortion. And he's criticizing those people that are pushing for abortion bans without exceptions. Very, very interesting, because as you know, that is a hot button issue that is going to, Trump realizes that that's going to get women not to bang with them, because regardless of how you feel, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, abortion is a very popular issue amongst women across party lines. And so he got to chill. They got to chill. But he's saying that, which is very telling. Trump is also saying that he's not afraid to go to prison, y'all. He says he ain't afraid of it. He said, even though he's got 4 trials, okay, he's got countless, nearly 100 indictments and charges, criminal charges. He is saying that he's not worried about it. He told Kristen Welker he doesn't even think about it. He says, I'm built a little differently, he says, I guess, because I had people come up to me and say, how do you do it, sir? How do you do it? I don't even think about it, he claims. He says he sleeps at night. Okay. Trump says that he likes democracy, just not how the way the U.S. system works, apparently. He says he doesn't rule out pardoning himself if elected, but called the scenario very unlikely, referring to pardon himself from crimes. Because as the president, you have the ability to pardon yourself. And in my mind, he's trying to get elected president before these sentences, which then could give him the ability to pardon. That's crazy, but he could potentially pardon himself. He's not ruling it out, but he says it's going to be unlikely, because I think he also thinks he's going to be found innocent. Very interesting. He also admitted that he ignored legal advice from attorneys who told him that the election was not stolen. He's still holding on to the big lie, y'all. He continues to argue that he could have won results. He could have won. It's complicated, but it's like, okay, it was a weird exchange between him and Kristen Welker about this, because I was in my mind like, you're admitting that you lost by saying you could have had this many votes because you were that close, or are you still believing there's some votes out there? Whatever the case is, Biden is the president. Like, Biden won hands down. It's not true, but So yeah. He's currently linking his call for retribution to January 6th, he's told his crowd, this year, said that I am your retribution. He had to address that comment. And he said, quote, in the interview, that when I talk about retribution, I'm talking about fairness. We have to treat people fairly. These people on January 6th, some of them never even went into the building, and they're being given sentences, of many years. Yes, because they was basically committing an act of treason against their country. But sedition, I guess, does not live in Trump's world. He also said that he had nothing to do with the Republicans' effort to impeach Biden. That just recently happened, and which we're going to talk more about. But, earlier last week, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy announced the launch of an impeachment inquiry into Biden. Ciao. He says he has nothing to do with that. Trump says that, which is why he's been trying to avoid conversation about it. He claims he doesn't talk to McCarthy like that. Okay. Also, another thing that said on an interview was that he was saying that he liked Putin's recent comments about him, but he seems to be vague on the plans in the war in Ukraine. And a lot of this is coming from NBC News that did a recap of some of these highlights. I just really feel like at the end of the day, it's hard to take Trump seriously on any of this stuff. It's just like, come on, what are you doing? He's on this whole thing about how he has no plans to seek a third term if he wins next year, which is Interesting. He doesn't plan to. Uh, Apparently, the Second Amendment, the 22nd Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, limits presidents to 2 4-year terms. That was enacted after after Franklin Roosevelt was elected to 4 terms in office, which was a lot. And so that's when term limits came into place. I was always wondering, like, how did Roosevelt do it? But he was able to do it because of the Great Depression. Um, and, that was a long time. Term limits matter because he was in that time, he was in that role, y'all, from 1933 to 1945. That was 12 years. 12 years. He served 12 years in office, which is a lot, you know. But he served third, but then he was inaugurated and elected as a 32nd president, and his fourth term ended when he died in 1945. In April of 1945, he was elected for 4 terms, y'all. If he didn't die, he would have been in the office for 16 years potentially. He passed away in 1945, FDR, and he served 12 years in office before he died. And he was elected a 4th term, which is wild. After that, it was enough. But y'all, it's real. Outside of that, there's a lot of other interesting conversations that Trump had during that interview. He's not sure how he's going to protect Taiwan, which is going through some, of course, controversy with China. There's a lot going on over there. He would not be specific on whether he would commit U.S. forces to defend Taiwan against China. But he is very vague on that, of course. And of course, the government shutdown is a hot topic that everyone's talking about. It's obvious that Republicans are, placing politics in the government shutdown. But even some Republicans are mixed about this decision because they're like, come on, like, it's too much going on. Like, get it over with. But he did say that Trump did say that he would shut down the government if they can't make an appropriate deal. Absolutely, he said. But it appears that, he's not, the Republican hardliners in the House, he's talking about they should not back down their demands. But there are people that are really, even in the Republican Party right now, kind of feeling like, what are we doing? So there's that. But back into Biden's family issues. There's a lot of things happening. And this impeachment inquiry into Biden is happening by House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Honestly, I think this is just retribution and retaliation towards Biden in the middle of a presidential season, because as we know, the Trumpers within the Republican Party are upset that Trump is getting federal charges. So they're looking for a way to muddy the waters on Biden, which is becoming the new Benghazi, scandal of the 2023-2024 election. They're just trying to do anything to create mass distraction. None of this shit is relevant, but they're trying. Even the Hunter Biden situation. So for those who did not know this, there is now a federal investigation against the president's son. This is a situation that he is currently indicted. Okay, Hunter Biden is being sentenced to as long as 25 years in prison and $750,000 in fines if he's convicted on these 3 gun charges brought against him by the federal prosecutors on last Thursday. Like, this is serious, y'all. Now, here's why this is really weird. And a lot of people are reporting about this. New York Times did a piece that said this is really unusual. Because here's the thing. Hunter Biden, Biden's son, Joe Biden's son, he is a first-time nonviolent offender. And the situation is that he's accused of lying on a federal firearms application, that's what he's in trouble for. He's never used a gun. And in his case, this is a Colt Cobra, which is a .38, millimeter gun, that he held onto for less than 2 weeks, 5 years ago. But he never used the gun to commit a crime. But he's getting serious prison time for the offenses charged in this indictment. And the indictment is 3 felonies. He's in trouble for 1, lying to a federally licensed gun dealer, which carries a maximum penalty of 10 years in jail. The second one is making a false claim on a federal firearms application used to screen applicants, which has a sentence of up to 5 years. And possession of an illegally obtained gun from October 12th to October 23rd, 2018, which carries a maximum of 10 years. Wow, that was like 5 years ago. That was my birthday, y'all. That was like when I turned 27, Hunter Biden was out here getting guns. Anyway, this is a situation about a handgun he purchased at one of the low points of his troubled life. I mean, this man was addicted to, as you know, crack cocaine. He was in and out of rehab. He had a divorce. He was, he was dealing with sex workers. He was having financial problems. This was in the middle of all that drama. He seems to have moved on with his life. He just wrote a tell-all book that came out earlier this year. Hunter Biden's, in a better place in his life. But this is now coming back to haunt him. You all know that, he's in Wilmington right now. The federal grand jury in Wilmington charged him. This is a lot. And now it's bleeding into his father's problems. We all knew, and we've talked about Hunter Biden previously in this podcast. We all know there's that one person in your family. We all have somebody like that. I have somebody like that. That just gonna be in some shit all the time. It's gonna be the one with loose lips. It's gonna be the one that just can't help themselves. And that's just Hunter, that's Hunter. Hunter is that person in his family. But y'all all know y'all got that one person, maybe two, but that one person in your family is like, ooh, child, I don't want them in front of a TV. I don't want no one to interview them on my behalf. It's just like that. We all have that person. And, I just think the situation is like, damn, Hunter Biden's being charged like a black man. This is not funny, but I'm just keeping it 100. Hunter Biden is being charged like a black man because this is the type of shit, like these types of charges. This man has never had a criminal record. This man has not shot nobody. He ain't committed a crime. But they charging him like they're trying to make an example out of him. They're trying to politicize this. This is politically motivated. It's bullshit. I mean, this man could have took a deal. He could have, they could have worked something out. This is ridiculous. This is just ridiculous, in my opinion. This is ridiculous. Like nobody, regardless of how you feel politically, no one should have to deal with this. No one should. No one should. So I think that is very problematic. I feel all types of ways about it. So moving along. What else? What else is going on? I just can't believe they're really charged this man. But stranger things have happened. Stranger things, such as the fact that Lauren Boebert, this woman, this is the one who used to be good friends. She's a congresswoman. This is the Republican woman who's really good friends with Marjorie Taylor Greene. They used to be good friends, or Green Taylor, whatever her name is, child. They used to be homies. But, this is the one in Colorado, the Republican congresswoman in Colorado. Well, she is in some mess, child. She out here cutting up, baby. She been acting up in the Denver theater, baby. This week. I don't know if y'all have seen this video footage. It's been on TMZ. It's been everywhere. But basically, she was vaping indoors at a theater that could have, that violates the law. She violated the law in Colorado. She broke the law, this thug. She was with a man. There was videotape showing that she was touching on his crotch. She was rubbing on her titties. It was getting real raunchy at this theater. And, Republicans are disgusted with her. Her Republican colleagues are disgusted with Lauren Boebert. I have to get them, Tweedledee and Tweedledum. But Lauren Boebert is in trouble, baby. She's apologized for the situation. She was, this Beetlejuice scandal. She was doing a lot. She said she was a little too eccentric. And so this is what happened because she got kicked out of the Denver theater production of Beetlejuice last week over bad behavior. People, she said at first that the accounts were exaggerated and untrue. She said she was a little eccentric. She said, I'm very known for having an animated personality, maybe overtly animated personality. However, video from the evening had revealed that she was doing a lot. She was vaping, taking flash photography, and while being escorted out the theater, they show her giving a finger to security guards. She was a whole goon at the Denver theater, baby. Okay? Very problematic. And there's been a lot. The Associated Press had reported that she and her date argued with theater security while leaving, and the congresswoman at one point said that she'll be contacting the mayor. Gangsta. She denied those claims, but receipts started getting posted. And so she apologized, talking about a lot of this has to do with her recent divorce. And you know, her ex-husband has some problems too. Y'all can go Google what he was doing at a bowling alley. The ratchetness. I couldn't believe it. She out here being nasty, cutting up, rubbing people. This is disgusting. Texas Youth Summit done made her a speaker in spite of this. The Insider had reported on this. This is ridiculous. She's 36 years old. She's newly elected. She got elected during the whole midterms, during the general election 2020 when Biden had got elected president. She was a part of that wave of representatives that got elected. It's a mess. She's out here doing a lot. 36 years old, embarrassing millennials. I can't believe it. So Republicans have been, weighing in on the situation with her and her behavior, her ratchet behavior. Girl is cutting up over here. The Republicans are very upset about this behavior. And, apparently she's ditching her mega brand in Colorado, trying to, I guess, appeal to a different group of people, which says a lot. But where I stand on the issue, because people want to know what I thought, it's the hypocrisy for me. It's the hypocrisy for me. And we see this happening. And I think she's ripe for a challenger in Colorado. She's going to get a challenger. And I'm excited to see what happens. But there was a lot that was said. There was a lot of things. So here's what Progress Now Colorado Executive Director said. For years, Lauren Boebert has made wedge issue grandstanding the central message for her campaign, trading on hateful rhetoric against immigrants, the LGBTQ plus community, and anyone else she could vilify for political gain. Boebert's unrepentant hypocrisy has now come full circle, and she is now the one who appears to have committed lewd sexual acts in front of children. Where's the lie? But I thought it was the drag shows, though. Homegirl was mad about the drag shows, though. Just saying. It be the ones that be yelling the most, be the ones doing the most. The pot calling the kettle black. So, moving on. In Philadelphia, City Council Live, you all heard the show. A lot of you all want to listen to reruns and things. Want to get more information on where you can listen to reruns of the show. We do it live. But I think there's a way to listen to recaps. I'll update you all on that. But last Thursday, I kicked back my return. City Council is back in session after their summer break. And of course, yours truly returned back to the mic as the host of Philadelphia City Council Live, which is, of course, on WRD. Black Progressive Talk Media. Love that show. Love it a lot. I do. Hosting it. It is, of course, on 96.1 FM, 900 AM. Again, Progressive Black Talk Media. Love the show. It comes on every Thursday at 10 a.m. I'm there every Thursday, except this upcoming Thursday. My good friend, legendary Joanne Bell, will be keeping the seat warm for me as I go to Chicago. But I'll be back next Thursday and the following Thursday and Thursday after that and Thursday after that, hosting the show. Well, City Council kicked off on a very big note. Lots of stuff came up in conversation. So first of all, coming back, it was great. Everybody was there except City Councilwoman Jamie Gauthier, which we're going to get to her in a minute. But what I will tell you is that it was hot. You had safe injection site supporters and those opponents that were at City Council. And you also had 76er Arena supporters in Chinatown, members of the community who were also against it. It was a very divided, polarizing, fractured City Council session. It was packed. Chambers was packed. They had to put people upstairs. The people for the 76 Arena came in blue shirts. They say that supporting the arena means you're pro-union, that you're pro-workers, and they're pro-arena, and that's what they're saying. Chinatown people are saying, no arena, don't support it. It's bad for the community. It's horrible. Both sides are having their thoughts. Now, you know my stance is this. I support the Chinatown activists. I believe that the 76 Arena would not be a good idea. They have been definitely publicly going after Squilla. It was real gangster. People had to bring their staffers to bring them out to the floor because people just know where people stood. But it was a hot conversation. I don't support the 76 Arena. I think that this is a bad idea. I think it's going to set a bad precedence for how the city decides what to put on land that involves communities that have been here for a long time. I don't think it's okay to do it. I stand in solidarity with the Chinatown community and demand no to the Chinatown Arena. I'm sorry, the 76ers proposed arena. But there are many people that do support it. But me, elected official I did speak to, however, told me on record that they're waiting for the impact report. So over the summer, the Kennedy administration had enacted and mandated that there must be an impact study done. And now that research is being conducted, those surveys are being conducted. And right now, elected officials are waiting for that impact study to come so they can be able to look at the research and data to make an informed decision. Personally, I feel like the impact study is going to tell us that this shit is not a good look. But we're going to wait and see. Now, we know that, presumptive mayoral candidate, Democratic mayoral candidate, Sherelle Parker is most likely in favor of it. We know that the building trade leader, Ryan Boyer, is in favor of this 76 Arena. For them, this is an opportunity to increase jobs. This is an opportunity to give union jobs, and I get that. But, there's 1,000 ways to give unions jobs, and something like this, in my opinion, don't justify the means. Pushing people out of their communities do not just the means to give more union jobs. And with all due respect, I'm pro-union all the way, but I do think that the role in which unions, specifically around the building community, have such an outsized presence on dictating politics, there has to be checks and balances. I support unions. I support people getting jobs. I support the building trades in how they want to create those opportunities. However, I do think that the outsized influence of specifically building trades unions, the strangle chokehold that they have on elected officials, I do find it concerning because that can't be the only thing, right? As a voter, I don't belong to a building trades union, but but don't my voice matter? There were other voters that showed up on election day in the primary outside of those particular individuals. And so while they are an important part of the conversation, they shouldn't dominate and dictate the conversation. And those who don't agree with them isn't necessarily anti-union either. So I don't, I do think there needs to be a great respect to challenging and pushing back on it. You win some, you lose some, but you can't dictate the entire, political landscape of Philadelphia. And we've seen that happen with Johnny Dock. We've seen it happen with other leaders in the past. I just think there needs to be some give and take. And there needs to be some real fair conversations. But I hate how things get super polarizing during this time. So, that was that. But also, the conversation around safe injection sites was very interesting. Ketsy, who is the city council representative in the district where Kensington is located, there has been a safe injection sites issue. There's been an opioid crisis that is at the heart of Kensington. I have nothing but the utmost respect for a woman in her role that has to deal with that. It's very different. When I went to Katina La Marita Marina last week, it was a great restaurant and enjoying myself. And I told you this, but it is a lot going on outside that restaurant, like visually. And you have to be safe. There are needles on that floor. There is a lot of public addiction and drug use. It's very visual and visceral, and it's a lot. And it's complicated because the legislation that got passed was an overlay over the majority of Philadelphia, but Jamie Gautier's district was not included in the overlay that would give council, that would give residents in those respective districts the choice to choose whether safe injection sites would be used in the area. So you all know that a couple years ago, Jim Kenney had basically allowed and authorized safe injection sites in Kensington. And it did not come from the input of the community there, the residents there, the children there. Well, the children's input, but the residents there, the adult residents there, did not have input in that decision. And it has opened up a lot of anger amongst residents there and people who has had families in those areas. They're upset that there are safe injection sites in their neighborhoods because it has opened up other issues like needles on the floor. There was a woman who shared during testimony that her child stepped on one of those needles that were used, and now her baby has to get tested for HIV and other types of potential viruses every 6 months. There was conversations from mothers and parents that talked about their kids having to see that when walking to school, and that this has been a very traumatic experience for them. And it's led some people to want to move out the area, and some people have had to navigate that. And it is a lot to see. Even when I went to the restaurant, when I went to Cantina La Marita, I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing it wrong. It's Cantina La Martina. Sorry. But when I went there outside, it was like near the SEPTA train station out there. It was hard to see that. And, that's a lot for a child or for families to see. And the fact that they didn't get a say in whether or not that's there, if that was what they wanted to do. And to be clear, the families that are sharing their stories, the residents are not saying that they don't want a safe injection site as if that's the end all be all. They want recovery. They want to help these individuals dealing with this affliction. They're suffering from addiction. They want those things. However, they don't think that the safe injection site is the answer to that, given the quality of life issues that's impacting their life. And there's a lot of people who don't live in Kensington, that don't live in those neighborhoods, that are living in different neighborhoods and gentrified neighborhoods that have not been impacted by that. That are leading a lot of these conversations and progressive ideals and points around safe injection sites. And a lot of them don't live in those neighborhoods. A lot of them are white. A lot of them are not longtime Philadelphia residents. A lot of them are people who come from the advocacy space, but they're not people who have to live in the environments that have these as consequences. And so there's a fight, right? There's a fight here. And so City Council, 13-1, Jamie Gautier was not present for the vote. She had to support her child who won a science scholarship, so she was out of town. But the vote happened. Kendra Brooks, who is a member of the Working Families Party, voted against it. But 13 out of 1 voted in favor of allowing residents the right to have say and making it be a zoning matter rather than just a mandate, which means that pretty much safe injection sites in most of Philadelphia, with the exception of the overlay not happening in West Philadelphia, will be pretty much killed in Philly. Because now what's going to happen is community will have input. It's becoming very clear that residents largely are not in favor of safe injection sites. It's not a popular issue in Philly. Most people are not in favor of it. And most zoning people, that goes to the council matter prerogative of elected officials, where most of the city council do not support it as well. Jamie Gautier and Kendra Brooks think differently, but the rest of the city council, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, do not support this elsewhere. So there's been a lot of pushback because, well, for starters, people don't know what I think about it. Honestly, I think in this situation it's complicated. I honestly feel like residents should have the right to choose. I think that if we're having a conversation about Chinatown with the 76ers arena, the conversation with that is that if you're in Chinatown and you should have a say in what goes in your neighborhood. And Chinatown largely does not want the 76ers arena. That's how I feel about safe injection sites. If the community at large say they don't want a safe injection site in their neighborhood, they should have the right to choose that. And to me, I think progressives that are in favor of safe injection sites, the messaging has been off. It's not winning because you have the wrong messengers. I'm progressive, but I don't feel like the voices that have been dictating this conversation are representing the people that are largely impacted by it. If we think that Black and brown people are being impacted in a negative way by safe injection sites, or that they're benefiting from them, why are they not at the front and center of this? White liberals, get the fuck out the way. Get out the way. Because the reality is that is how it's being framed by elected officials who don't support it. And I'm not a lobbyist, okay? But I've written about this. I've already written about how the perception, the public awareness about this has not evolved. It's too many white people who live in Rittenhouse and Center City and gentrified parts of South Philly and West Philly that is really out here trying to tell people where to put the shit. You gotta change the makeup of the advocacy. The marketing, the messaging is fucking off. If you believe that safe injection sites will benefit Black and brown people in these neighborhoods, then those should be the people who should be the ones having the conversation and being at the face of this. Right now, that's not the case. It's not. And honestly, it's creating a lot of division. It's creating a lot of people who are really upset and frustrated by the back and forth about this. But now community do. And so this is an opportunity that if people want safe injection sites in their neighborhoods, if they feel like there's an issue or a cause, there's now the ability to have councilman prerogative. There's now opportunity to fight and legislate and lobby, and advocate for this if we believe that this is something. But now it needs to be citywide. You can't target one particular area and force that, especially if it doesn't appear that results are improving or improving as fast as people think it should. So, there's people that talk about what's going on in New York and how there's progress in New York, but New York City and Philadelphia are a different beast. And we got to stop with the false conflations. There is progress in New York City, but they also have a very different health system there that's not Philadelphia. And so if you're going to put something like this in the city, you have to also have the competent leadership, funding, and support across the whole healthcare system in Philadelphia to make this work. And elected officials are saying they're dropping the ball on this. They want to do different things. They want to do it. But I also have said to them, this reminds me with Obamacare. If you don't support Obamacare, what are you proposing? They're proposing other alternatives. There needs to be more support for people dealing with recovery and rehab. I think everybody agrees with the fact that there needs to be safer opportunities for health and housing and other access to resources, because this is a more 360 issue than just simply opioids. So that's where I'm at with it. I think Gautier is going to have an interesting challenge with Jabari Jones. I still predict Jabari Jones, by the way, is the third party candidate that's running against Gautier in November. Now, I believe Gautier will still win re-election, but there is a growing tide of people that are beginning to really look at Gautier's politics, and it's not looking that good for her. I'm not going to hold you. It's not looking good for her right now, and I'm worried that even if she doesn't, even if she doesn't lose, which I don't think she's going to lose, to be very clear, I do think that if he shows high in the polls, it's going to get harder for her. I don't know what her plans are. I don't know if she's going to run for a third term, but the politics are rough. The politics are rough. So we'll see. We're going to see. There is a lot going on elsewhere. As you can imagine, there is a lot of buzz right now happening for the Working Families Party. There's some big endorsements that are coming very, very soon. That's got people talking, and I'm for one excited about this, because It's been interesting watching this city council race and the endorsements that's been happening. So you all know that Josh Shapiro has come out, Art Haywood, a lot of more moderately leaned Democrats um, have been coming out loudly, um, for uh, Kendra and Nicholas O'Rourke, who are working family party candidates that are running for city council at large. With David O, who is a Republican who is currently running for mayor, now that he's given up his city council at large seat as the only at large Republican, the space is now open. Kendra has the second minority seat on council for at large, and now Nicholas O'Rourke, which means that if Nicholas O'Rourke wins alongside of Kendra Brooks, then there will be no Republican at large in the city of Philadelphia. It'll be Democrats and a third party with two candidates. This is epic. This is a pretty big damn deal. I must say that there's been a lot of chatter. Um, Democrats are fighting right now because there's going to be another big endorsement that's going to come out Monday morning. And I will tell you all that I will be breaking this news, and I've been very quiet, but I'll be breaking the news on Monday morning. I can't say it on the podcast because, as you all know, my podcast comes out on Monday mornings at midnight at 12 a.m. sharp. Because of that, and because some of y'all listen to my podcast at odd hours, I can't announce this, but it will come out at 10 a.m. on Monday. Or if you're listening the day of release, 10 a.m., stay tuned. I cannot announce the big announcement, but there's going to be a big surprise. It's going to shock everyone. But I have to be quiet because I'm going to actually be the one to break it. So maybe I'm talking too much now. But what I will say is that it's been interesting to see these endorsements. I think what's happening right now in the breakdown is this. There is only, if you're a Democrat, the Democrat city, and this is Bob Brady talking because Bob Brady knows it. The rules in the Philadelphia Democratic City Committee and the Pennsylvania State Democratic Party, the rules are very clear and very simple. If you are a Democrat in the state or in the city, you can only endorse Democrats. You can't endorse anyone else. You're not supposed to. You're not allowed to. What are the consequences? No one's slapping no one on the wrist, but it's not encouraged. It's not permitted. You would have to violate Democrat rules to do it. And there could be penalties, but most of the time there's not penalties, or people don't get penalized. But Bob Brady sent out a strong letter back in June telling city committee members and people within the respective districts and folks that reminding them of these rules because, Kendra is running again so that it's opening up the door for people to make endorsements. In the past, third-party candidates like Kendra and Nicholas, when they first ran back in 2019, had the same issue where people, supported them and whatnot. It creates a headache, right? Because for Democrats, they can only endorse. There's 5 people up. There's only 5 Democratic seats up. If you're a Democrat telling Democrats or whomever, right, to vote for 5 people, and you're telling them to vote for Kendra, then which Democrat is not getting that vote? Is the logic that Bob Brady has about this. Who is the leader of the Philadelphia Democrats? That's the question he's asking. Which Democrat are you telling them to ice out on the polls and not vote for? That's a question. Now, in this city, Democrats outweigh Republicans, bar none. Democrats have always, for over 50 years, have won their seats. There's been no issue with Democrats winning seats at city council at large. Like all 5 of them will win. When you look at the numbers of the votes numerically, Democrats always get the top 5. Democrats are not knocked out of anything. But recently, because of this third party rise, there are some that has been trying to entertain this faulty logic. I was one person who really did think before, like maybe the third party candidate could create a fight. But then that would mean that you would assume that they would knock out a Democrat, even though the numbers show that It's just not possible. The third party candidate is not knocking a Democrat out the top five. It just doesn't work that way. It's always the top five go to Democrats because they're the highest vote getters, and then the two minority seats will go elsewhere. I can see a Working Families Party being another Republican candidate, securing both two seats, and Democrats keeping all five, regardless if Democrats may step out. Here's the thing: most voters don't always vote for all five of the Democratic nominees, even if they're a registered Democrat. There are many, clearly Kendra won because there were Democrats who voted for their Democrats and then voted for four Democrats and then voted for another one. They skipped one person, vote for another. Shameless plug, I did not vote for Helen Gim for city council at large when she ran. I voted for Kendra I voted for Kendra Brooks instead of Helen Gim back in 2019. Just keeping it 100. I'm not crazy about Helen Gim. Clearly voters aren't either. She's not in office. But I voted for Kendra instead of Helen Gim. So because I made that vote, that meant that I was a Democrat. And guess what? Helen Gim still won, right? But because of voters like me who gave up the popular vote for Helen, the vote went to Kendra, which helped Kendra get a boost at the polls, and Kendra won. Nicholas didn't get the vote. You know what I'm saying? Nicholas didn't get the vote from a lot of people. So Nicholas didn't win people over as much as Kendra did at the time, right? That was a Black woman, and people wanted to make history, and Kendra made history. So it was a different situation. Now, this time around, I am going to tell y'all, I'm going to vote for Nicholas and Kendra. I'm just going to keep it 100. I would like to see the Republicans out of their seats. You're asking me which two Democrats I'm not voting for? I'm not going to tell you who those people are. You might take a wild guess and figure out who. I'll tell you right now, it's not going to be Isaiah and Kathy. I'm going to vote for Isaiah and Kathy again. If I tell you who the third person is, then you're going to know who is not. I'm going to be quiet. I ain't going to tell you. You could probably guess who the third person is, which means you'll know who the two I'm not voting for. I'll just say that I've made it very clear previously on this podcast who that third person would be and who I liked. And I'm going to vote for that person again because I would like to make history again. That's my hint. You'll know based on that who the two I'm not voting for and who I'm replacing Kendra and Nick with. But that's for y'all to figure out, and I'm not going to disclose that. But I want to make it very clear on the record, Isaiah and Kathy, 100%. The highest two vote getters, 100%. So, anywho, I would encourage people that if you're a Democrat, that know that certain people are going to win regardless, the top five is going to win regardless. You can give up a vote. Some people don't even vote for five people. Some people just vote for just one person and bullet vote. So there's an opportunity here, people. And I don't really believe numerically it's going to cost a Democrat a seat, which is why Bob Brady's logic here just doesn't make sense to me, because it just doesn't make sense. And there are plenty of Democrats who also understand math and understand why they don't make sense. So Josh Shapiro just endorsed Kendra. He did not endorse Nicholas. I think he endorsed Nicholas because I think it would be just too many people to say goodbye to. They're not telling you who not to vote to. They're just telling you to just support, those people. Bob Brady don't like it. And there's been some friction between certain folks who's doing it. But this big one that's coming out very soon is going to shake the table. This endorsement is about to come. And when that one comes, baby, it's about to shake the table. I'm so excited to be the one to break it. It's a big damn deal. And, people keep talking about Nick or Kendra. I say both of them. So that's where I stand on it. That's where my politics stand on it, because I just feel like this time it's time for something different. It's just time to just see something different, regardless of how you feel about it personally. It's just, I don't know. Why do we have Republicans? I can't even talk to them. Like, what are they gonna do for me? Nothing. So that's my take. I think there's a lot to learn from the situation, but I'm not easing up on my position on it, because I do think change is coming and change should come. Period. So let's talk about Drew Barrymore. My goodness, what has Drew been up to, baby? Drew Barrymore, I don't know what's going on. Drew Barrymore's show is in some controversy, but she has reversed course as of the time of recording this podcast. But you know what? Regardless of that, she has white fragility. So there's been some drama. So, the writer's strike is still going on strong. Okay, the Writers Guild of America is still going on strong, with SAG-AFTRA demanding for pay equity and benefits for union workers. They're on strike. They're still on strike. It's been over 100 and something days since the strike has initiated, been active since the summer. there's a lot of people that are really, standing strong on this because these writers in Hollywood deserve better. Well, a lot of shows have not come back on air because of it. The Drew Barrymore show at one point was one of them. Well, it appeared that Drew Barrymore was crossing the picket line and was still going to move on with the show without writers, and really tried to do this video apology, which backfired over the weekend. So she, in her white fragility, I mean, just really cut up. She put out this statement saying, that there is nothing I can do that will make this okay. That is ultimate white fragility. That is every white liberal woman who will prioritize their privilege above progress. What the fuck does that mean? My good friend, Francesca Ramsey, who is also one of the people participating in the writer's strike, noticed that over the weekend, Drew Barrymore put this video up to apologize, but also still was basically saying she was going to do what she was going to do anyway. Spoken like a true white liberal. She did the apology, then she took the apology down within 24 hours. And Francesca Ramsey, who is viral, she's an influential woman in media, and also just so smart. She's really great. She's a TV writer, she's a producer, she's an actress. She did MTV Decoded, if y'all remember that. She did a lot of stuff. Well, she's cool. So she basically did a video on TikTok and talked about this, but just basically said she called Drew's acknowledgement video not an apology, but an acknowledgy. I've never heard of an acknowledgy before, but she called it an acknowledgy, and I thought that was a dope term. So I gotta cite my sources. Francesca Ramsey, got this new term. It's called acknowledgy, which is basically when she says a person makes an apology, and it's not an apology where she defines an apology, which I believe an apology is when you acknowledge what you've done wrong and you correct the behavior. That's an apology. So when you tell a person, I'm sorry for doing this, your apology means I apologize for doing this because you intend to correct the behavior. Like when I tell a person, I'm sorry for stepping on your shoe, my bad, then it's my fucking responsibility not to step on their shoe the fuck again. Like that's an apology. But people out here are giving analogies. And so this is an analogy where basically Drew Barrymore does this performative act where she's, doing the little, I'm about to cry, but she doesn't really actually fucking cry. She's doing the whole, I'm performative, acknowledging the problem and talking about how bad she feels, but she is not actually correcting the behavior. And so Francesca Ramsey makes this point very clear in this very viral video she does on social media, which can be found on her Twitter account and on TikTok. But how many white people do you encounter that do this thing where they're just giving all this sorriness and self-pity and self-blame on themselves? And they make it about them and they center themselves and they do the whole pretend they're about to cry situation and all of this guilting and self-loathing and deprivation. But then they're doing all of that while also still committed to doing the fuckery that is the desired result that you actually want. We know a lot of people that do that. How many people of color have experienced that? Black and brown people specifically. I can't tell you how many white people specifically have I encountered that will say, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry that you was offended by our collaboration with the cops. I'm so deeply sorry that you were hurt for what had happened. This is hurting me to just know that you're in this pain. And, I just can't believe this is happening. And it's so divided. And this is so hard to hear. And this is, I've been thinking about it up at night and everything, and this is unfortunate that we're going to agree to disagree, but I still care about you, okay? That's exactly what Drew Barrymore did. That's exactly what a lot of white progressives, quote unquote, do. They do what the fuck they want while also trying to acknowledge the issue without apologizing. So it's called an analogy. And there's a lot of white people that do that. And when I saw Drew Barrymore's video, I was like, can you shut the fuck up? Can you get the fuck off the line? When did this become fucking you and your fucking feelings rather than a harm of your actual workers? Your writers are actually getting impacted negatively by this strike. And you basically are crossing the picket line saying, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want to do, but I'm so sorry, so sorry. That's not an apology, and you're not sorry. Get the fuck out of here. Well, after enough pressure and the potential of getting canceled, Drew Barrymore has rescinded the situation. She's postponing the show. She's putting it on hiatus right now. She's not going through with the show. She's standing in solidarity. She got the fuck back on the line. It's called shame, people. Sometimes shame actually works. Yes, we're happy. We're happy. Cancel culture wins. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. She felt so much shame. She did the right fucking thing. I don't care why she feels now. She did the right fucking thing. She got her ass back on that line and supported her workers. Because at this point, that's what you got to do. Okay? I don't give a fuck about hearts and what do they call it? What is it? Thoughts and minds, hearts and minds. You know, as somebody who comes from marginalized experience, I don't have time to give people, thoughts and prayers and change hearts and minds. I just need you to just fucking change course. I don't give a fuck if you really care about it in your head. I don't care what your politics are. What you are doing is harming people, and I just need you to stop harming people. Whether you give it with a bow or a blue kiss or a smiley or emoji, I don't give a fuck. Get the fuck out of harm's way. That's where I'm at with it. All this, you want the person to really mean it. I don't give a fuck if Drew Barrymore really means it. Support your fucking team. I don't care. I don't care if she low-key didn't want to do it or if we made her do it. There's some people that be like, well, did she really mean it though? I don't care. Because she's not doing it though. And we're in a point where we have to consider impact trumps intention. I don't give a fuck what the intentions are. The impact of her actions way more than what her intentions are on all fronts. And so I think as a people, we have to get past what people's intentions are now. I think we just got to look at the impact now. Like, whether she did it because she felt bad or she felt good, I don't care. I'm just happy she's not doing it anymore. And so thank you, Drew Barrymore, for having the, self-awareness to get back on the line. That's all. That's all. So, in other interesting news, there has been a lot of interesting celebrity divorces. The Libras are out here having divorces, except me. I'm a proud married Libra. I love my husband. I love Mr. Johnson. But two successful Libras, because Libra season is coming, y'all. I know y'all know that, right? Like the Virgos, I don't know what y'all doing, child, but it's about to be over. Y'all and y'all groove can take 50 seats back. Move out the way, said that famous Virgo. And she meant that for Libras. So that's what she's, how many times? Anyway, that's a great song. Yeah, two Libras. Jeezy, okay? Y'all know Jeezy, who is a New York Times bestseller. Great book he got out there. Young Jeezy, the rapper. He is a Libra. September 28th is his birthday. I think it's the same day as Will Smith's. I think Will's is the 27th, but they're both Libras. But let me clarify. Will is not to get into divorce. He should, though. It is Young Jeezy and a man who was born on the same day as my birthday. He's Oscar nominated. He's a Tony-winning, multifaceted actor, Hugh Jackman, born on October 12th. Many, many years before 91. But we are on the same day. Another great Libra. Well, both of them are having divorces. They both filed for divorce. They're leaving their partners. Jeezy has filed from divorce from Janine, Jeannie, I think her name is, or Janine. I really don't follow her that much, but she's popular. Jamie Mae Jenkins is filing from divorce from her husband, which is Young Jeezy. Who is, his last name is Jenkins as well. I mean, that's his government name. But Jeezy, who his real name is J. Wayne Jenkins. He has a really great book, like I told you about, which I actually started listening to. It's called Adversity for Sale. You gotta believe. Who would have thought? 45 years old. His birthday's September 28th. He's turning 46, in a couple of weeks. But he's got a book out called Adversity for Sale. You gotta believe. He tells a lot of stories about what it took for him to beat the odds. I am inspired, I must say. It's a really good book. Really good book. Motivating. But, he's on the New York Times bestseller list. He's a rapper. That's good for him. But I also tell you there's another good book by another great Libra called The Case for Cancel Culture. Y'all can help get that on some booksellers too. But yes, Jeezy has left his boo. It's Jeannie Mae or Mai, who, they only been married for 2 years, but he's filed for divorce. Now, there's been a lot said about this divorce on the internet. All I gotta say is that this is a woman who was on her show, The Real, once upon a time, saying that she like her dark meat on the side, white keeps her mean and lean. That's how she described dating black men and white men. Yeah, the fetish was not cute, boo boo. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna keep it cute. But see, this is what happens when fetishism and colorism and anti-blackness, probably on both sides, leads to these very problematic marital relationships where, eventually some of those problems jump out in different ways in the marriage. And you're just kind of like, see, this is what happens when you be trying to fetishize and do things. Interesting enough. But didn't expect it to last as long as it did. Surprised that it did, but whatever. And then Hugh Jackman also filed for divorce. He was married for more than 20 years. Really shocking, but, and very, sad too. But what I will say, what I will say, because this is very interesting as well, these are Libras. And knowing Libras like I know them, their birthday parties coming up are about to be I'm single parties. So Hugh Jackman is back on the market, I guess. And Jeezy's about to throw I'm single party. He's probably going to be somewhere in Atlanta throwing some big ass party for himself. And, Libras are going to do what Libras going to do, baby. We're the best. It's a lot of famous Libras, okay? Some that that I personally can't stand, but you can't deny them. Will Smith's birthday is on September 25th. But you got Bruno Mars, Will Smith, Eminem, Hilary Duff, Cardi B, Gwen Stefani, Gwyneth Paltrow, Serena Williams, Kate Winslet, Zac Efron, Snoop Dogg, Kim Kardashian West, Hazley, Donald Glover, Lil Wayne, Brie Larson, Naomi Watts, Usher, Bruce Springsteen, Matt Damon, Catherine Zeta-Jones. Baby, what do we not have? Look what we got. Look what kind of Libras we got. Look what we have. Look what we have. We have the best of the best. Okay, you can't deny us. You can't deny us. You cannot deny Libras. That is a crew. What kind of slate? Look at that slate. Legends. Legends. We got legends. Snoop Dogg, Lil Wayne, Eminem, the three biggest rappers, Usher, Bruno Mars, Maya, Ashanti, some of the best of R&B. I'm just saying. Kate Winslet, Will Smith, Catherine Zeta-Jones. What do they have in common with Gwyneth Paltrow? Oscars. With Brie Larson? Oscars. Matt Damon? Oscars. Serena Williams, a goat. This is the sign of goats. I didn't mean to go into a Libra or the goats argument, but I'm just telling y'all, look at the material. Look, I know Virgos, y'all got Beyonce. That's all y'all got. That's all y'all got going for y'all. Y'all got Beyonce. Okay. And Gemini's, child, y'all got Kanye and Trump. Good luck. And my Capricorns, let me not throw no shade, but y'all got R. Kelly. Okay. Just saying. And Mary J. Blige. I'll give y'all that. And my mother, she's worthy. And Dr. Parks and Jill. Okay. Y'all, and Joshy's Philly. Okay, y'all got a couple over there in the Capricorns. Couple. I'll give y'all some. But I'm just saying, baby. I mean, clearly the Libras, there's some controversial ass motherfuckers on there. There's some controversial. We are so controversial. You saw all them Libras. You like controversy, mess. But success too. Anyway, yes. A lot going on there. Y'all asked me, have I been following this Offset, who is Cardi B's husband, beefing with Nicki's husband, some stuff in the streets. I don't know what's going on, but can y'all brothers keep it safe? Can we keep no violence, no fighting, as Wyclef Jean said it best. No fighting. We don't need to fight. There's some dumb shit going on social media between the two of them. I just hope we keep it to laughter. First of all, where is his ankle bracelet? Where is Kenneth Petty's ankle bracelet? Why is he in the streets? I'm just going to leave that there. Y'all can Google Kenneth Petty and why I said what I said about House Arrest. Y'all need to look that man up. I'm just going to leave it there. But that's foolish. I don't know why Nicki's camp. I know it's not Nicki directly, but it's indirectly, right? I mean, if your husband... Listen, Mr. Johnson out here doing some shit to people, best believe I'm a part of it, okay? Because I don't do nothing without my man. And I don't think most people do. I feel like I don't know. I don't have separate, I think, I digress. I just think that when people are spouses, oftentimes they share the same politics, even if you don't like it or not. A lot of y'all Beyonce stans, beehivers, y'all love Beyonce, but y'all know that Beyonce is married to a man who is a gross capitalist and has some problematic views. Don't think for 5 seconds that Beyonce is completely divorced from those ideals, okay? She may not promote those ideals out loud like he does, but believe me that they're one and the same in some cases. My husband and I share very similar ideals about things. Y'all think I'm radical, child. Have a conversation with Mr. Johnson. You'll realize he's very radical. But I say all that to say that if Nikki's husband and his friend who's out here talking about knocking the veneers out of her mouth, which is hella violent, referring to Cardi B, which is disgusting. Nikki's is sharing those similar ideals. I mean, there's got to be some similar. I would, in my opinion, I don't think they're separate, especially the way she goes hard for her man. But yeah, so I just hope that it don't escalate to violence. It's just no need. They need to just, what are they, 5? Like, this is what, high school? Cut it out. Knock it off, guys. Leaving it there. So this week's Ask Ernest, a lot of you all had different questions. I am super excited to see what's going on. Want to, say that last week's Ask Ernest was a very good conversation, and I do have a pleasant update to share with you all based on the discussion that was had. So I'm going to talk about that, and then also, get into that. So this is what was said. I have an update for you, Ernest. Thank you for reading my letter last week. I truly appreciated your insight. I agree with your advice that the situation isn't a black or white issue, but that there is a healthy middle ground to addressing the alcoholism in my family and my uncle's death. I spoke to my father and found out that he is going to grief therapy, and I also sent him resources for family members who have been affected by alcohol abuse in case he wants to join as a support group at a certain point. I also was able to talk to a few other members of the family about support groups and discussed how the grief process can be challenging when a loved one has died from alcohol abuse. And I think a few of them might consider the group therapy when they are ready. Through my uncle's death, I found out that 2 close friends have loved ones who have alcohol addiction, and they have been very supportive and understanding. I am glad I disclosed my uncle's death to those friends because I found out they also were hurting and felt ashamed about the alcoholism in their family. I was able to share resources with them as well, and we were able to chat about our common experiences. Finally, I had to check a family member who said a sly comment about, quote, alcoholic bums, by reminding them that our uncle had been an alcoholic and that alcoholism can affect anyone, and respectability politics doesn't help anyone struggling with addiction. Amen. He remarked, quote, well, at least uncle had a good job, to which I replied, yeah, and rich and poor people can both be addicts. Don't judge the person on the corner who is an alcoholic because he had the same struggles as our uncle, and both people deserve dignity. Thank you so much for your insight, and I hope if any other listeners have family members with substance abuse, they consider reaching out to mental health and support services that support the family of the people struggling with addiction. Thank you so much for your update, and I'm glad to hear that you're having those tough conversations, but you're also leaning on resources as well, because a lot of this stuff is heavy. It's heavy, and over the week, I've talked to friends of mine who share with me that they have family members who had overdosed and had experiences. And these conversations and these issues do get hidden and get put under the rug. But it's necessary conversations. And, a lot of times you can't have it alone. Some people can, but sometimes there's a lot of resistance. But the pain still happens. And seeking professional help is very important. So thank you for that. Moving to this week's Ask Ernest, this is a very messy one, which is why I wanted to have this larger conversation based on experience. So full disclosure in all of this, I went to Fringe Bar with my homegirls, Lauren and my girl Jamira. We went to the club. We went to Fringe Bar. Fringe Bar became a party because the Black MBAs of Philadelphia, they got they had a convention or convening in Philly this past week, and so they had a turn up in an after party at Fringe Bar that took place like from 10 to like 2:30 at night. I haven't partied that long with the straights in a long time, but I was in VIP, so like it wasn't too much straightness that was bugging me. But I went down a little bit to talk to the plebes, I mean the folks that were there, and it was a good time. It was a good time. It was a very good time. Lots of drinking, lots of fun. It was a good turnout. But there was a lot of interesting things that took place. So I don't know where I want to start this Ask Ernest, but I want to lay the ground about before I get into this because something went down there. So the thing about going out to straight functions and parties, it's very mixy. You see people you see people you don't want to remember. You see all types of people, and single ladies, to my single cishet women out there. Dating is trash for y'all girls. I have to tell you, because there was some men in there that I haven't seen in over a decade, okay, that was definitely hollering at me, and now they hollering at the girls. And I'm not saying that bisexuality does not exist. I'm not saying that people can't be sexually fluid, but I wonder to myself if these men are being transparent before they get these girls' hopes up. I don't know. It's not my place to assume. It's just interesting. There's a lot of just fuckboyness that's happening as well. Like I just see people I see on Instagram in full-fledged relationships, but they over here trying to holler at some of my friends. I'm just like, you got a whole girlfriend, full stop. You got a whole fiance. And if you and you know what they like to lie and say is they like to say, oh, I got a, we got a special understanding. Fuck out of here. But this girl that you're talking to may not want to be a part of that though. Okay? No one wants to be part of your haram. But anywho, let me get to the topic at hand. So my Ask Ernest questions comes from a woman who I guess saw my video, saw that I was out that night. And I guess in some of the video, there was a video, and my video saw the man who she knows I know. And she reached out and asked me straight up, and she wanted to ask Ernest. She said, did you see my man at the party talking to another girl? Because I'm his fiance and I want to know the truth. Listen. So I'll answer this question, and I'm going to, clearly I don't do names on this show, as you know. Yes, I did see your fiance at the party talking to another girl. I had my camera out to show the crowd, not because I was being an op, but because I was just trying to let people see the crowd. Clearly, you saw your man there, and your man was doing exactly what he was doing. I don't know if I call this being a rat because I was being asked directly. If a man is willing to do something like that in public, then I think it's fair game for anyone to say anything. Yes, he was there. He was there publicly. He definitely was told, where's your ring? Because I remember in y'all photos, y'all had engagement ring photos. He definitely was at the party, dancing with multiple girls. He tried to holler at my friend, one of my homegirls, to which they were like not interested because, I was right there and I told that man directly to his face, I said, don't you have a fiance? To which he said that y'all not married yet and that, y'all got a different understanding. So I didn't ask any more questions, but it was very clear to my friend that whatever understanding that you and him allegedly have, which I'm assuming y'all don't at this point because clearly you're shocked that he's doing this in public. So I guess y'all don't have understanding. But what he had said that my friend respectfully said, well, okay, that's what y'all have, but that's not what I want. I want my man all the way single, is what she replied back. But he had a good time. What was interesting to me was that, he clearly went with his boys. He was there with his friends. And I looked at one of his friends and said, why y'all here, letting him do this? And they said, that's not none of their business. This is, I bring this up because of the fact that this reminds me of a situation earlier this week. I was with a homegirl out and she dated a guy, this is many, many years ago. She dated a guy who lived out of state. This dude was They dated or whatever. He lived out of state. She met him somewhere. They had a little vibe. The friends was all vibing. They all knew they were talking. And then this dude straight ghosted her. And then next thing you know, she finds out on social media and on YouTube that they got a whole, he's married, he got a whole situation. And that during the time in which they were dating, that he had a whole fiance, a whole situation, and basically disappeared, was not on Facebook, was not on social media. And, years later, we see him with his wife at this function this week. And Arthur, the cartoon character where he grabs his fan in a fist like he's about to punch, but he doesn't. I felt like Arthur in that moment. I was like, like, what is happening here? Like, why is this man? I mean, and maybe people change or whatever. Well, long story short, we ran into them. Maybe I decided to run into him because that's what I do. And I was with my friends, and I was like, oh, hey, so and so, so and so, and they were like, oh, hey, and they were with the wife, and the wife, well, I was like, us, my friend. Dude tried to act like he didn't even know my friend. Was like, oh, we met before? Like, motherfucker, did we meet before? You was in there before. Like, what do you... Dudes are trash. Men ain't shit. Straight men ain't shit. Some of them. Most... Fuck it. Y'all know what I mean. If you're an exception to the motherfucking rule and you're an outlier, take your outlier ass out this conversation for a couple of minutes. These men are not shit. I sat there like, damn well who she is, and damn well what you did, but we wasn't tripping because we got rings over here too. But it's the moral of it is that I have seen men in broad public do the most ridiculous shit. And for you, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know your situation, but I will tell you what I would do because you asked Ernest and you was asking me. No fiance of mine gonna be out in public disrespecting me without a ring on in a public setting. I think the friends who accompany him are dogs because you talk about that's your business. If you're the friend, how you putting your hands up being like that's none of my business? What you mean that's none of your business? It is your business. If you don't got no morals and you don't got a spine, why? But this is what I mean. A lot of straight men don't have friends. I'm realizing a lot of straight men do not actually have genuine friendships with other men or other straight men. They don't have them. The friendships are based on the dumbest shit. We like football. Yay. Jalen Hurts. Yay. Go ahead, Swift. Like, that's all they can. I don't know where real friends hold each other accountable. Real friends are honest to each other. Real friends support each other. Real friends respect boundaries. Real friends trust one another. Real friends, have good intentions. Like, that to me is the essential friendship. If you are sitting around seeing your friend make a bad decision, you don't sit there and just let it happen. Because then I'm looking at you too. I'm feeling some type of way. But, yeah, he was in the video doing what he was doing. And, at first I was a little hesitant to ask Ernest. But then I said to myself, well, no, this dude was doing this in public. It's your responsibility to go back to your person and tell them. Clearly he did not. And now sweetheart, you gotta be in my DMs asking me the question that you probably already know. But you maybe want that confirmation, so I get it, because the friends are clearly lying, or maybe they were lying, but I'm here to tell you the truth. I don't know what to say other than that. I just know that there's people that do couples therapy before marriage. Maybe you might want to consider couples therapy. If that's what you want to do, that's an alternative. Go to a professional. Or you could just drop him on motherfucking site and tell him bye because you know your worth and you think you're better than this. Or you could just, figure it out. I don't know. It's not my situation. But, you asked the question and I wanted to answer honestly. So that's this week's Ask Ernest. Messy. All right, so you all asked me about this. Hassan Minaj, who's not related to Nicki Minaj, but Hassan Minaj is a comedian, a South Asian comedian, I believe, who was pretty funny and progressive, and I'm actually really disappointed in him. The New Yorker did this in-depth story about basically how a lot of the jokes he's made based on race and his identity was like largely fabricated, or he added things to it that weren't true. And so one example came from a white girl that he dated when he was very young, that basically he claimed the girl left him over because he was Asian, But it comes out that the girl he was talking about dating back in the day, how he described her, this white girl was like, no, I didn't dump him because he was Asian. I just wasn't into him. But like a lot of other jokes, he fabricated or over embellished. And he has now claimed that, I mean, first of all, he lied. Like, let's just keep in mind, he made this shit up, that these are emotional truths. I don't know what the fuck emotional truths are. I just feel like, is that another way of saying alternative facts? Like, this is how I feel, so therefore it's true, even though it's not actually substantively true. What the fuck is that, Hassan Minaj? It's just not true. Like, you lied. You just made it up. And you got caught. And, you know, people are like, well, what happens with comedians and things? I'm like, look, you can make a joke, but you don't have to base it on your life. But Hassan Minaj's entire identity was him telling these experiences in his life for humor. Now, as a black person, y'all, and as a queer person, I got plenty of stories that can be rooted in comedy and jokes that are just real that happened in my life, y'all. Like, shit be fucking crazy. Like, I was at Jim's West, y'all, and I literally saw a man on a horse, you know, out there while there was a security guard that was armed while people were doing the goddamn Cupid shuffle. That really happened. No lie. It gets silly and Philly. I just went to the bank. I went to TD Bank for my organization, and I was at the bank, and there was a situation where a girl had a safety dog, and the dog literally ran up on somebody at the cash register, and they were about to get it popping, like immediately. It went from 0 to 100 real quick. Like, these are things I see in real life and experience. But these are like, this is life, right? You just tell the truth. For whatever reason, he made up this joke and it wasn't true. And basically, you know, a couple of jokes. But there's a whole long piece in the New Yorker about it. But, you know, my thing on it is this like, unfortunately, what's going to happen now is that actual comedians, black and brown comedians, are going to now have a struggle because now real comedians that tell their stories, like Wanda Sykes and black comedians that tell these experiences, she's a black queer comedian. Now people are going to be like, is this really true or is it emotional truth? And that sucks because we live in a world where real shit happens and there's no need to make up experiences of racism because pretty much that's what he's been doing. He's been basically making up stories of racism to make money and to capitalize off of a certain identity and experience. And that's just kind of fucked up. Not a fan of that. I think that's fucked up. That's just where I'm at on it. Period. Speaking of fucked up, Rolling Stone co-founder Jan Wiener has been removed from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which he is the founder of Rolling Stone magazine. He's the co-founder of Rolling Stone magazine, which I write for. He's no longer at the helm of the publication. A couple years ago, he stepped down, which I guess is a good thing. But he caught some fire because he was talking about, you know, he's got a book coming out called The Masters. And these are like the top musicians that define music or whatever, rock and roll. All of them are white men. He talks about interviews he done with them. He shares all this other stuff. He had a book that came out last year called Like a Rolling Stone, which was a autobiography on his life. But this new book called The Masters and what happened here is problematic. He has basically had to apologize after making some really fucked up statements, okay, about just horrible statements that many view as disparaging towards black and female musicians, women musicians. He apologized to his hour, but he created a firestorm because he did an interview for the New York Times, and he was asked why he didn't interview women or black musicians, and he said, quote, "It's not that they're inarticulate, although go have a deep conversation with Grace Slick or Janis Joplin. Please be my guest. You know, Joni, which is Joni Mitchell, was not a philosopher of rock and roll. She didn't, in my mind, meet that test. Of black artists, you know, Stevie Wonder, genius, right? I suppose when you use a word as broad as masters, the fault is using the word. Maybe Marvin Gaye or Curtis Mayfield. I mean, they just didn't articulate at that level." The fuck? Like, I'm just confused. Like, these are legends. How are you? It was sexist. It was racist. It was problematic. And the crazy part is that he literally said in an interview that he knew he was going to get backlash. He said, just for public relations sake, maybe I should have gone and found one black and one woman in artist to include here that didn't measure up to the same historical standard just to avert this kind of criticism. How fucked up is that? How fucked up is that? Meanwhile, Marvin Gaye's What's Going On, when you talk about the 500 greatest albums of all time, the magazine ranked Marvin Gaye's What's Going On as number one. Blue by Joni Mitchell is number three. Stevie Wonder's Songs in the Key of Life at number four. Purple Rain by Prince at number eight. And Lauryn Hill's The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill at number 10. Just saying. Just saying. Just saying. Just gonna leave it there. Diversity and inclusion, people. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Oh, goodness. So, moving on, movies this week. So, I saw the Kirk Franklin documentary. Y'all, it's on YouTube for free. Just put in Kirk Franklin documentary on their page. It's only 35 minutes long. But, baby, they don't waste a minute on that documentary. It's only 15 minutes long. Kirk Franklin's team produced it. It's called Father's Day, which is his new album, Father's Day, which is coming out on October 6th. It was touching, juicy. The juiciest 35 minutes I've watched in a long ass time. I was at first thinking, this is short. Is this as a sample? It's the full documentary, but it's really, really good. When I tell you it's like Mario on steroids, so I don't want to tell too much of the documentary, but I will tell you the synopsis of the situation. For a long time, Kirk Franklin has struggled with the fact that he was adopted. He correlates his issues and some of his marital problems, some of his issues with his child raising, and a lot of his insecurities connected to the fact that he was adopted. He felt like he was lonely throughout his life and his childhood. He talks a lot about this. He's talked about throughout his life, but a couple years ago, a man that he thought was his father passed away. And this was a man that he thought was his dad, and it was crazy because this man, before he died from cancer, I believe, basically told him, Kirk shared all of his insecurities and his faults and his guilt with this man, and basically, thought that he buried his father and had that closure in his life. Well, years later, years passed, a family member of his at a funeral talked to somebody that knows his mother, who his mother's name is Deborah, and he doesn't have a really good relationship with Deborah. But they're at a funeral, and his biological auntie talks to a woman who recognizes a man at the funeral and says that when they were children, the mother and them dated. Which then whispers start to go because they look at the man and they say, wow, he looks like Kirk Franklin. And so rumors begin to start. His auntie contacts him and says, there's rumors that this man might be your actual father. This other man that he never knew about. They do a DNA test, y'all, and he is 99.9% the father. Shocker, right? So Kirk Franklin's having an emotional moment. It's just crazy. He finds out this man is his father. He meets the man, they reconnect. It's been like 53 years. Kirk Franklin's 53 years old. It's been like 53 years. He never knew this man was his dad. So Kirk meets him. He has a strange relationship with his actual biological mother, Deborah. Tells Deborah. Deborah is cynical. She's all like, she can't believe it. And so they do another DNA test, and this man is once again Kirk's father. She doesn't want to believe it. She doesn't want to accept it. She does not want to believe it. She's in denial. She keeps saying he wasn't the father, even though DNA says otherwise. It's a hot ass mess at that point, but it's very good. There's some other surprises that happen on this documentary, but I highly encourage you to watch it. Interesting documentary, definitely great behind the scenes into the album. It is a little promo in it. It's a deep story, but it is elements where you do feel like, yeah, they're trying to sell this album. How convenient that this documentary is like coming out like about a couple of weeks before his album drops. But listen, you got to market how you want to market. Taylor Swift done did 1,000 documentaries and little videos and stuff to promote her shit. I ain't mad at him. Go ahead, Kirk. Saving gospel music, one album a hit at a time. 19 Grammy Awards he has won, which is wild. Fun fact, years ago, I had the pleasure of interviewing Kirk Franklin for a story that I did for Huffington Post years ago when I first got into the business. I don't know if a lot of y'all know this, but my big break into Hollywood actually came by covering gospel music artists for for Huffington Post and for doing some work there. And when I was a BT I was a BT apprentice for a former BT exec that was at the time. Another story for another day, but I got excited. I got to meet some of the heavy hitters in gospel. Erica Campbell, Todd Tribbett, a lot of interesting characters. Anita Wilson, who I still love to this day. Dr. Bobby Jones, the ambassador of the gospel. I was on his set for the final, season of his show, Bobby Jones Gospel, and was a part of that, interviewed him, followed him and everything. Like, you can Google some of this. The receipts are there, but I was around a lot of gospel legends, Donnie McKirkland, the legends, baby, the legends, okay? So, that's how I got to understand the industry, and that was my background. So I got to meet Kirk Franklin. He is very short. And he knows he's short. And he talks about how he's like a little leprechaun. But he is so funny, so full of life, such a nice guy. Interesting guy. Great music. I mean, he's been making hits. Very progressive and inclusive, I must say, compared to others who are not so much. But very interesting. Very good documentary. Highly recommend watching. Music. So I listened to Guts by Olivia Rodrigo. Great album. Guts is a very good album. What a great sophomore album. She definitely matures in this. Her first album was good too. But Guts is really good. It's such a good album. It debuted at number one. It debuted at number one on the Billboard 200 albums chart. People are now looking at it as the potential album of the year. It's getting album of the year conversations. Right now the biggest people in predictions are, Taylor Swift for Midnights, SZA, SZA's latest album that, is in talk. Some of the big ones is Taylor Swift's Moonlights. People really think that's going to win, which will be her fourth album of the year. To be honest, I hope she doesn't win, y'all. Like Taylor Swift, but she's won 3 of them, goddammit. I mean, come on. I don't know. Midnights is cool. I get it. But, it'd be nice for someone else to win. SZA, SOS is another popular one. Wouldn't mind if that came out. Would be nice. She's a 15-time Grammy nominee. She's won in the past. Foo Fighters at number, is another one. But Here We Are. But Guts is in conversation. Boy Genius, the record, is in conversation. Lana Del Rey, Miley Cyrus is. John Batiste, World Music Radio is. Bruce Springsteen is in conversation. Only the Strong Survive. Metro Boomin, Heroes and Villains is in conversation. Joni Mitchell is back with Joni Mitchell at Newport. Morgan Wallen, One Thing at a Time, another one in conversation. Travis Scott, Utopia. Ed Sheeran, Subtract. It's a couple interesting albums in conversation for album of the year. But the front runners, it looks like, the heavy front runners is Taylor Swift, SZA, Foo Fighters, Olivia Rodrigo, Boy Genius potentially, and Lana Del Rey. Those seem to be the major players that are shooting their shot for album of the year. So I think Guts is in that conversation. I definitely think Guts is in the conversation alongside SZA and Taylor Swift. I think though, Olivia Rodrigo is making a strong case. It debuted at the Billboard Hot 100, so she's already got a number one single. A lot of people really like this album. It sold 300,000 equivalent album units, which isn't bad. 300,000. She's the first woman artist to start atop the chart with 2 first chart entries in 9 years. The only person that was able to do that prior was Ariana Grande. We haven't seen, she did Yours Truly in 2013 and then My Everything in 2014. So we haven't seen a woman debut on the Boebert charts like this in, again, 9 years. So Olivia Rodrigo has proven that she can do a good job with a sophomore debut. Another person that had a really great sophomore debut was Billie Eilish with Happier Than Ever after, her Grammy-winning smash album of the year winner, When We All Go to Sleep, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Did We Go? So I'm excited. I thought Guts was a good album. It's 39 minutes, pretty short. A lot of people were talking about how short it was, but you know what? There were no skips on the album. And I can appreciate a short album with no skips. I know I may sound like a hypocrite because y'all would remember I talked about Janelle Monáe's previous album that came out, but that was a little too short for my taste. Compared to this, it just seemed like it was meteor focused album, and it did good. It did really well. I thought it was a great album, for sure. I guess I didn't get a chance to talk a lot about the MTV Music Video Awards. You know, honestly, y'all, it was okay. It was all right. The MTV Video Music Awards, it was okay. I mean, you know, there was some interesting moments. Again, Taylor Swift domination. She won like 9 VMAs. Video of the Year, which is her 4th Video Music Award ever. She won Song of the Year. She won Artist of the Year, Pop Video of the Year. She won everything. And I mean, as a viewer, it was kind of like annoying because pretty much everything she qualified for, she won, except Best Editing that went to Olivia Rodrigo for Vampire, which won Best Editing. But every other major award she won. Video Vanguard Award and performance with Shakira, which was the best Video Vanguard performance since Missy Elliott. She killed it. Shakira couldn't go no wrong. I mean, she literally did a huge, like, 10-minute set and was dancing. She was singing in Spanish. Look, they were talking about the lip singing. I don't care. Girl was killing it. It was a great ass show. I haven't seen a live performance like that in a minute. That was dope. Diddy's performance, the global icon performance, he had Young Miami, he had his son performing. It was a little corny, cheesy. The only thing that took that show away from me was Keisha Cole sung Last Night and the mic was on, and Keisha Cole blew. She sang. She killed it. Okay, Keisha Cole got up on that mic and she sang Last Night like it was 2008. That song is 15 years old. I remember it like it was last night. No pun intended. It's a good song. I forgot how good it was. I've been playing Last Night, the original version, for the past, like, what? I don't know. Since the VMA. So the past, like, 5-6 days. Listen, I'm not even going to sing. Sometimes I sing on here. I'm not going to even waste my vocals on you all. You all do not deserve. But, listen. Oh, my God. She killed it. She killed it. I love that song. What else went down? Nicki Minaj. Okay, so Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion performed Bungos, which is debuted very high on the charts. The Billboard Hot 100. We love a hit. They performed it, and you know what I have to say? The performance sold the song for me. And you know what? I'm not going to be too hard on it. The girls are having fun. I don't think they're trying to take themselves seriously. The girls are having fun. And I thought it's a cute little fun song. So I don't got no qualms with it. But it took the live performance to sell the song for me. But the girls are back and having a good time. Nicki performed her song, Last Time I Saw You. It's just not clicking. I told y'all like a week ago or whatnot, a couple weeks ago, that the song debuted at like number 23 on the Billboard Hot 100 last week. People were like, well, she did good because she didn't have any visuals. But I just wanted the record to show that Nicki has charted higher and debuted higher with singles without visuals. Red Ruby the Sleaze is a good song. It's a banger. It's a vibe, okay? It debuted like at number 13, I think, on the Billboard Hot 100. And so she has done better before. I just feel like this song sounds like the stepsister of Pills and Potions. It sounds like something that came out with a Pink print. It just feels dated. And even this whole Pink Friday 2 thing, I feel like is a little dated. I don't know. It just gives me dated. And then she performed another song, and I'm just like, Nicki, why are you so contentious? It says her lies misogyny for me. It's just like, she always coming at the new girls. Like, we get it. You're a legend. Why are you doing this? You're being everything that you accuse Lil' Kim of being. I don't like it. I really don't like it. I just can't. Yeah. And then she was hosting too. And then she won Best Hip Hop Video for Super Freaky Girl, which I guess was whatever. Future performed with Metro Boomin. That was cute. Other things that are cute. So over the weekend, Mr. Johnson, because it was not me, catnapped our faves, Dr. Parks and Joe. They were going for the weekend, and so there was catnapping. Catnapping? That sounds like kidnapping. Cat watching, I guess we'll call it that. But they were watching the cats. They have 2 cats now. So one is called Phor, which is the bigger cat, Phor. I guess it's a Beyonce reference, I suppose. But the other cat, which is smaller, is named Nadavius, which is named after Nadavius Wilborn, which is named after one of the greatest rappers of our current generation. His name is Future. That cat is named Nadavius. It's so beautiful. Now, I'm not a cat person, but I appreciate the cat name being named after Future. I thought that was very smart. And so I was willing to look at the cat, but I'm not a cat person. I'm not really a pet person. I'm not really a dog person. Except the wishbone dog. If I had the wishbone dog, I would appreciate dogs. But, I grew up in the world of no pets in houses. I don't know pollen, no hair. Cats are outside the house. And I'm not Muslim. That's just how I grew up. So I don't have any pets. But I think some pets can be cute. So they had cat watching. Now, Mr. Johnson loves cats because he grew up with a cat growing up. Big old fat black cat that is still at his mother's house named Habasha. And that cat is a mean cat. It climbs up on doors and stuff. This cat is problematic. But anyway, I said, you like cats, you can work with it, which is how you know I'm a bottom. I'm joking. But, cats are cats. But anyway, I love this cat named Nadavius, and it just made me think about Future, and I appreciate the catness and all that. That being said, that performance was cute. Future is just so cool. He's so cool without wanting to be cool. He just has a certain swagger that just makes you just feel like, yeah. Other great performances. Payola was very loud in that room. Doja Cat, I don't know what Doja Cat was doing. That performance was really weird. I must say, she was really hyped though, but it was really funny. It was weird. But she's had the number one song in the country, Paint the Town Red, so people clearly like her mad music. She's just an interesting person, but she's got she's got some energy to her. I mean, people like her. It's interesting. I found out that SZA pulled out of her performance allegedly because her team said that she was not nominated for Artist of the Year, which is hella disrespectful because SZA had Kill Bill. SZA has been giving us an album that stayed on the charts for multiple weeks at number one, breaking R&B records. Like, her album was one of the greatest albums. How was SZA not nominated for Artist of the Year, but y'all wanted her to perform? And she won a VMA for Best R&B Video. And I think it was for Pillow or Sneak, but Snooze is a classic. It's a great song. Like, how are we playing with SZA? I don't know. That was weird. But MTV was weird. And also, MTV played my girl, Janae Monette. They played her talking about she's not ready, for the big stage, which I was kind of like, what? I was like, how is that possible? Victoria Monet. Sorry, I'm thinking about another Jeanette. Victoria Monet, they told her she could have performed because she wasn't ready yet. But y'all had all these singers and performers that are new artists. Is the MTV Music Awards supposed to give people a big shot? Like, how are y'all playing my girl? Y'all let Normani and Chloe get a big stage, but y'all acting like she's not ready for the stage. She'd have to be, first of all, she's written all the big hits that your faves like, but she's not ready for the stage. Child, get out of here. The racism for me. MTV be playing too many games. Child, please. That was some bullshit. But it's a mess. As far as TV go, I've been following Love and Hip Hop. So Love and Hip Hop Miami ran, but Love and Hip Hop Atlanta did not run. It's going to run this week on Tuesday because MTV, ran the VMAs on Tuesday, so they didn't show. So I'm looking forward to seeing more and more of the arguments and conversation around Erica Mena's controversy and backlash, because that's been piling up still. Love and Hip Hop Miami is getting juicy because now we're starting to see issues with Amara La Negra in regards to her issues with Dana Safari, which we all knew was going to be a problem in their relationship. I don't know why she's acting like she's shocked that people are not feeling her and him as a couple, but whatever. When you get into people's sloppy leftovers, then that's what happens, but whatever. But there's a cool show on Hulu called The Other Black Girl, which is actually based on a very good book that came out a couple years ago. Been looking at some of that, been watching it. It's a very interesting show. To be honest, I'm so tired of these get out scenarios, but I do appreciate the book for what it is because it's probably one of the better types of scenario plot lines. So how there's new genres that get formed. I feel like we're in this era of the get out horror genre, where it's all these black people who basically have these weird encounters with white people, and that becomes like a plot. And I don't mind that because white people are very problematic, and honestly, they've made terrible film horror plot lines about us, right? The Big Mandingo, Jezebel, y'all know about that. So I'm okay with it. I just kind of I don't know. I just feel like I've seen so much of it that it gets corny. But this is based off a really good book, so I feel like it's been well. But it's worth watching and checking out. So that is that. What I will say in wrapping up, there was an incredible restaurant that I almost forgot to mention because it was romantic and it almost felt like I was in a restaurant. It's called Ambra. It is in Queen Village. It is at the same location where Southwark is. The married couple, that husband and wife duo that owns Southwark, also owns this lovely, exquisite restaurant called Ambra, which is Ambra, I think it's called Ambra. It is Italian, modern Italian. It's fine dining with wine pairings, customary cocktails. It is pricey for those who, want to splurge. This is worth the splurge. It is magical. It's phenomenal. It was very romantic. It's one of the best places I've ate in a while. It's the most romantic tasting menu experience I've had. It's very nice. It's the place you go to propose to someone. It's the place you go to be engaged. It's very romantic, very fun. Now, we did a communal dinner situation, which is one of the first things that the chef owners did. They proposed where it was with other people. And it was fun because it was people that knew of me, but I didn't know who they were. But it was like a great author who wrote an incredible book. It was a professor who did literature at Temple, someone who was worked at Comcast, someone who did consulting. And it was just interesting to be around these other, interesting people and having just dinner and conversation while trying the meals. I never thought that dinner with strangers in that way can happen, but it can, and it could work, and it could be really fun. So it was a really great experience. And then we went out and did drinks at Southwark, which is connected again. And this is in Queen Village, which is located in around South Philly, right across the street from famous 4th Street Delicacy. So it's a really popping area over there. There's a lot going on over there in Queen Village, but really, really great spot to eat. Highly recommended. So next week, this upcoming week, I will be doing my summit. I'll be doing my book tour. I'm looking forward this upcoming weekend to the Polo Classic. It's the 2nd annual Philadelphia Polo Classic. The Lit Brothers will be there. We'll be in polo style. It's fall for me. It's really the official kickoff for fall for me, to be honest, because I can't be wearing short stack for too long, okay? The weather's starting to tell me, put some pants on. So that's what I'm going to do. But I'm super excited. I mean, fall is finally here. Libra season is coming. The book tour is coming. So much is happening. And it's always great. It's always a pleasure to do this podcast, as always. I don't take 1 minute or second for granted. It's always a pleasure. And there's so much more to come. And as always, be well and be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.